Yes, that's just it. Is that we're not being taxed enough, and he'd like to see us spend even more. And of course, that's the business model of the Democrats anyway, which is to expand the dependency class, and so every couple of years it actually gets harder and harder to defeat them in an electoral battle, and that's because they're growing government all the time. They're creating more dependents. They're creating more people that are recipients of taxpayer dollars in the form of government programs or grants or whatever it is. And as that number grows and the number of people that are recipients, it's very hard to overcome, because the argument every election cycle is, oh, don't vote for those Republicans. They're going to cut your benefits. But at the same time, we have to remember there's people that are being taxed to pay for those benefits, and I hear from a great many of my constituents who are having difficulty paying their bills, particularly senior citizens. Electric rates are through the chart. That's another thing. The legislature has a big impact on what we're being charged based on the policies that we impose on the utility providers. So that's something we're talking about. There was a major piece of anti-gun legislation passed in this legislative cycle. Some people think it's limited really just to going after firearm retailers and manufacturers, but at the end of the day, it's going to maybe put any opportunity to purchase a firearm in Connecticut out of reach. What else? We also had the bills that were vetoed.
Car tax.
Car tax.
Outrageous.
Yep, car tax is something we can talk about. I mean, so I just thrown a few of these things out that are worth the conversation. There were the bills that were vetoed, the striking workers bill, that the governor vetoed, thankfully. And then there's also this talk about housing and planning and zoning, which is another conversation. I think those are the main topics. So I'll open it up. Who wants to go first? Rogers, you were first anyway.
Well, I have a bunch of questions, but I'll let other people get in here. But
how do you get away with having a plural name, by the way? I just want to know.
Just for the record, I was born a small white child, and I had no say. I wasn't able to talk, and I had no say in what they named me.
So you were.
So I was named after my father's father, who was Rogers T. Pilot the first. I became the second when I was born, but he was named that his Rogers came from his mother's maiden name.
I say
Rogers.
Gotcha. I was gonna say. Yeah.
So that's it. You asked.
You were the only Rogers I know.
Rogers Morton.
Oh, yeah,
Hornsby.
Personally.
Oh, okay. Lamont didn't sign that thing, that planning and zoning thing. So he didn't sign that.
Yep. 5002. Yep.
Right. But one of the things that I read today, and I'm not sure you were the CT Sentinel.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay.
Of course. Yep.
Did you see the article that when I say build, it's in the next 2 years budget bills, that we're going to spend over $21,000 per homeless person.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Per homeless person, $21,000 a year.
Yes.
Per homeless person. And there are estimated 5,000 homeless people in the state of Connecticut. So
that's one number. The number that I serve on the housing committee, and homelessness is a topic that comes up all the time. And the experts that come to us in that committee document the homeless population in Connecticut to be 3,500. And incidentally, one of the lowest in the entire country. Yet they're always banging the drum about homelessness. And again, I mean, I'm as concerned as anybody else. Although, my experience, and I know people that actually serve that community, including my friends who are over in Southington that run an organization called Bread for Life, which is an organization that works exclusively on private donations. And they do a tremendous job.
Yes, they are.
They do an amazing job. The thing is that they end up getting all of the homeless people from around Connecticut because it's word of mouth. Hey, go to Southington because they're going to take care of it. But my good friend that has run that operation for many years, she'll tell you that the thing is that very few people who fall into the homeless category want to be housed. They get money, they put them up in hotel rooms, they stay there for 15 minutes and then they leave. And they go back to living in the woods because most of it is not a poverty issue. Very difficult to actually not get enough benefits in the state of Connecticut, frankly.
Right.
So people choose to be homeless. And it's a sad situation, but I don't know how you resolve that by simply throwing money at the problem. And of course, that's what the Democrats, that's all they know how to do. And effectively, what they're attempting to do is not so much solve the homeless problem, but they're trying to send money to their friends
Yep.
who are allegedly solving the homeless problem.
Yes.
That's what they do. They give money to various nonprofits that are going to save the world, but yet we don't seem to, resolve those issues.
So the discussion that I've heard, a lot of people are saying that legislation is like a camel's nose under the tent, in order to because right now, the group housing for illegal aliens is being liquidated. All the flop house hotel kind of place, the Roosevelt Hotel in New York and stuff. All of that is being liquidated, okay, and they're being dispersed and infiltrated, into the countryside. And that's the first step to including illegal aliens, in publicly financed housing. Do you think is there any truth to that?
Well, sure. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, I don't even know how to attack the question completely. Let me just talk about 5002 a little more generally, but we can certainly, factor in the homeless population, the undocumented population, and so forth. When that bill came to the Housing Committee, which I mentioned, I'm the minority party chairman, the ranking member of the Housing Committee. When it came to me in that committee, House Bill 5002, it was one paragraph. It was one page, one paragraph, 10 sentences, and it was all about homelessness. That's what it was, and it was effectively a study to resolve the homelessness problems in the state of Connecticut. And it's funny, if you watch the debate on, a few days before the final night of session, when they actually brought the bill out, and they decided to do what's called a strike-all amendment, they got rid of that one paragraph, one page, and they replaced it with, 150 pages or whatever it was, of an entirely different set of policy. I remarked, I'm like, where's the homelessness stuff that was in the title? Because it wasn't there anymore. They really didn't do anything for homelessness. But the fact of the matter is they put a lot of that in the budget, as you mentioned, just a lot of giveaway money. But they were going to do some pretty radical things with homelessness. They were going to make it so you could be homeless as of right anywhere on public property in Connecticut. And that means like on the town green. That means like on the high school soccer field. I asked during the committee process whether or not you could actually camp out in the state capitol, and they said yes, because it's a public building that's open 24 hours. And the protections were not just for, hello there, brother, hi there.
Hey.
Look at that, where we bring all age groups and demographics. Where the heck was I? I was talking about
In the Capitol.
homelessness in the Capitol, that's right. The legislation said basically that the protections included not just the fact that you could sleep there and things like that, but it was basically any activity of daily life, which includes going to the bathroom, but it also includes cooking. So I asked in the committee, I said, does that mean that some guy could just decide he's gonna camp out in the state capitol and he's gonna be flipping burgers right there next to the Nathan Hale statue on the first floor of the Capitol building? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, that'd be okay, but the same thing happens in your local parks, in your local baseball fields, in your local schools. That's crazy. These people in Democrat, they're crazy. They're nuts.
Well, and the other thing is it would mean that you could effectively sleep in your car on any cul-de-sac, on any private residential neighborhood. Again, we can be, thoughtful and concerned about the homeless population without going to extremes that maybe put people in danger or make them fearful of what's going on and so forth. So let's talk about illegal aliens. So over the last several years, the Democrats have worked very hard to attract the undocumented population. We were one of the very first states to offer benefits, health benefits. We were one of the very first states to offer driver's licenses, and countless other things, in-state tuition at our universities. Housing, we have kind of a no questions asked policy for almost every state benefit. The federal government requires citizenship for almost every benefit, but the state doesn't. So when you apply for state benefits, whether it's for housing or healthcare or whatever it is, they don't care and they don't want to know. So that obviously gets out. And of course, I'll tell you a couple of statistics. One, we were talking about how much the dependency class has grown in Connecticut. I will just point out that when I was first elected back in 2010, there were only a little over 100,000 people receiving Medicaid benefits in Connecticut. A little over 100,000. Today, that number's over 1 million. The state of Connecticut is 3 million people, 3.5 million people. So we're talking about almost a third of our population is getting some sort of Medicaid benefit. An unbelievable increase over that same period of time. And a lot of that is the direct result of Obamacare, which was never about offering people low-cost health insurance. What it was about was finding a way to get people to contact the government so that they could be turned over to the Department of Social Services and be given free healthcare benefits to create dependency. That's what it's all about. It's all about getting to single payer. It's all about getting to communism. That's what it's really about. So fast forward to the last couple of years where it's suddenly a little more acceptable for anyone really, but Republicans in the minority, to push back on the notion of benefiting illegal aliens. I've been saying this is a bad idea since the beginning. I led the fight against all these policies, including the driver's licenses and everything else. But in the last several years, particularly since Trump got elected the first time and he made the border his key issue, we have been pushing back as Republicans in a much larger way. So I think we've made some headway, and I believe that there's a gubernatorial election next year. I think legal immigration is going to be a major part of that debate, because I think really that's a question that the people of the state of Connecticut have to answer, whether they want the status quo and Ed Lamont, who continues to offer benefits, healthcare, and so on, or somebody who's going to tighten the reins on that. And it's also much worse than just the healthcare aspect of things. It's also crime. The fact of the matter is that in Connecticut, we have the most expansive sanctuary policies of anywhere in the whole country, even California. They have more rights, effectively, than American citizens do, and it's sad.
Do you know if a Republican is going to be running for governor next year?
Yes, oh yeah, well, there's several people that have maybe hinted that they're going to run for governor. You have Aaron Stewart, the mayor of New Britain, who is exploring for governor. You have
worthwhile.
You have Jennifer Tooker, who is a woman out of Westport. I believe she's the former first selectman of Westport. She's announced for governor. She's the only actual Republican candidate who's declared. And then there is a third person, and that is my good friend Ryan Fazio, who's a state senator I serve with, and I'm supporting Ryan, and I'm trying to get him in the race right now. I fully expect he will run, and you might hear an announcement by the end of the month or maybe the beginning of August. So he, in my view, would be our best choice.
He's Greenwich too, I think.
He is from Greenwich also, so it'll be a battle in Greenwich, him and Lamont. The thing about Ryan is that, I mean, he's probably the most conservative of the three people that we're discussing, and he's an intelligent guy, and I think he's extremely electable, besides being a principled and honest person.
What's his name again? I'm sorry.
Fazio.
Fazio.
Ryan Fazio. So many questions. We'll come back to you.
I gotta get quick on this thing, real quick, about your illegal and bringing all these people in. The federal government is now not sending federal money to states and cities that are not following the rules. How is that going to affect the Connecticut taxpayer if Lamont and the CGA are allowing illegals state benefits and the federal government says
No.
no,
Let's say
we're not going to cover your Medicaid, or we're not going to cover your other things. We're not going to give you school money because you got illegals in there. You're doing. What's going to happen?
So, Roger, so far that really hasn't happened.
Well, it's in the paper. It is.
Yeah, okay.
According to the newspaper, it is.
Well,
everybody's crying. They're cutting school budgets. They're cutting special education.
Yeah, well,
and the voting
That's
population
a
hears
lot.
that.
They just rolled it into
Yes,
other
yes,
departments.
yes. Look, the Democrats want desperately for Trump and the Republicans in Congress to cut aid to the state of Connecticut. That's what they want more than anything, which is why they are doing everything they possibly can to instigate, to create conflict. Our Attorney General is out in front of the camera almost every day saying that he's going to be suing the administration. They are desperately trying to get the federal government and the Republicans in Congress and Trump to cut aid to Connecticut. There haven't been any real documentable cuts. I'm not going to say there's been nothing, but nothing in any extraordinary proportion as of yet. It could happen. There's no question about it. Trump threatened that it would happen. But they are doing that because they firmly believe that it is a good political issue for them. They want to be able to say, Trump cut this aid to Connecticut. Even though if Trump cuts this aid to Connecticut, it's going to be a direct result of their policies and their defiance of his edicts and federal law. And that's going to play out over the next year.
In Connecticut.
Right. It didn't really happen in this legislative cycle. I mean, if you were watching this legislative session, the Democrats, the governor, Attorney General talk, every day they were out there barking at the fact that we were going to lose this benefit and that benefit. At the end of the day, we didn't. And the state budget that we drafted takes into consideration any cuts that there were, and they weren't significant. The only thing that really happened in the state budget is they went bananas, blew through the guardrails, and spent a whole pile more money. As I said, 14% increase over the next 2 years.
Yeah, I have a question.
What's going on? Oh, we have, if you guys want to,
Now,
after you, we're going to take a little break and let people get up and get some
Okay.
food. I didn't realize it was there.
according to the local community news, you're
A
concerned
fine
about.
publication.
Pardon?
A fine publication.
Yeah. Fine representative. Everyone, you're concerned about Senate Bill 1370. That.
Oh, yes.
With the prevailing wage law.
Yep.
We make 2 to 3 times more than the common labor market. I find that disturbing. You mean to tell me that after 5 years
Excuse me.
apprenticeship, that it should
Sit
work
anywhere.
a third of the journeyman's rate?
Yeah, no, I didn't say that at all.
What's it say?
That's not what it says, though. My concern is that there's several concerns. They're multifaceted, multi-level, but the bill 1370 did not pass. That is a proposal that was made in the Labor Committee, and basically what it would say is they were going to expand our prevailing wage law in the state of Connecticut to cover not just the work that's being done on the job site, but also add in any fabricated materials that are done off-site. So imagine this. For folks that don't know, prevailing wage is simply a requirement that is put on government infrastructure projects. Towns, state government. The way you might really relate to it is that the town and city of Waterbury, for example, if they want to redo the highway or they want to rebuild a school, they have got to hire union labor to do that because they have to follow the prevailing wage law. And what is going to be happening is that not only will the city of Waterbury have to pay the workers on the job site the prevailing wage amount, they will also have to pay workers at some other facility where they're making concrete forms or they're putting together, heating or HVAC, duct work or something like that. They'll have to pay them prevailing wage also. And the concern over that really is that the property taxpayers of the various municipalities. Because now what you're talking about is when you rebuild a school or you renovate something, and it's billions of dollars already because you're paying that higher prevailing wage requirement, you're also going to be paying prevailing wage for off-site fabrication, and it's going to make the cost go up dramatically. And of course, property taxpayers will have to pay.
Yeah, but projects are won with contracts. And there's a law called prevailing project labor agreement.
Yes,
Now,
another policy I don't agree with.
oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
Well, the state is in a boom. I called my business agent, hell, you want to go back to work? I said, well, I don't think I can carry 8-foot ladders anymore, okay? okay? Me, what? 50, 60-year member of the union. Proud of it. And
Yeah,
I
you should
don't
be.
expect to work for 1/3 of my wages,
That's
or
not
my
what it
brother,
says.
or
That's
my
not what it
brother.
says. What's your first name? I'm sorry. It's been so long.
How? How?
Yeah. Look, that's not what I'm saying. There's a
Well,
few, listen,
Here,
I understand, but you're taking it out of context. What I believe, okay, Hal, is that we should live in a free market.
it is.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, that's not a free market. That's not a free market when you're telling a town or another provider that they have to only purchase their labor from a certain entity. And the amount that they pay in labor wages is dictated by the state government. That's not a free market. That is not
Okay,
competition. That
prevailing
doesn't.
wage is what it is.
Okay, I understand that.
A
And my issue with
non-union
this bill
contractor
is,
can win a contract, but he has to pay, if it's a
Now, let me explain something to you.
job, he has to pay
the thing that you're missing more,
prevailing wage.
the thing that you're missing more than anything, okay?
Yeah.
Is that my concern is that I don't have a problem with unions going to municipalities and negotiating contracts. I don't have a problem with unions negotiating with any employee. What I have a problem with is when the state government decides that they're going to get involved and say, we're going to take one side of this transaction or the other, and we're gonna put our foot on the scale to say that the one side of the transaction gets a benefit. That is the whole point of collective bargaining. Unions exist to collective bargain. They get together, we're a whole bunch of guys, we can go and challenge you about this job because you need us, right? That's what unions are? Well, you don't even need unions or collective bargaining if the state government is going to do collective bargaining by law. And that's my problem with this thing. More than that, Hal, it's that that bill never passed, okay? And the reason
It'll
why.
never pass.
No, it didn't pass. And the reason, well, let me explain. And the reason why it didn't pass is because they were afraid of me. That's what the reason why the bill didn't pass, is because I've debated this same bill over and over again multiple times, and they knew that if they brought this bill to the floor, I was gonna embarrass the chairman. I was gonna ask her a lot of questions that she didn't know the answers to, and she was gonna have a very, very difficult time explaining that this is good policy to the people of Connecticut. So instead of doing that, instead of going through that process, you know what they did? They took that policy that should have been voted on as a separate thing, and they stuffed it in the budget. The budget is, maybe 100 pages of how much we're gonna pay this, offer to these various state agencies for different things. And instead, it ends up being 700 pages long, and it's got all these other items in it. They cheat, basically. The majority cheated by going around the process and stuffing it in the budget.
But if you're an iron worker, a plumber, electrician, and so on, you can't work for penny wages, or what you're saying.
Look, first and foremost, I didn't put a bill in. None of my bills were being debated. I wasn't taking anything away. I was trying to stop them from raising the amount of prevailing wage for off-site construction. That's all.
Well, I haven't done
And it
my,
is the law now, and you know what's gonna happen, Hal? You know what's gonna happen, and it's already, I'm hearing from people right now, people that work in these industries, they're moving their facilities out of state.
Yep.
So there's gonna be less people like yourself being able to work in those industries. That's just what's gonna happen, because even the towns aren't stupid. Even the contractors that do these agreements with the towns aren't stupid. They're gonna find a way to be more competitive by not having to comply with that law. And I want everybody to get a chance to eat, so let,
you
to
can
be
hire
continued.
Don, you're gonna keep it in shot.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I think that's good.
What the hell?